leaning on a thin black sheet of glass. She saw both the lives flash before her eyes. She didn't even have time to cry. She was so...
When Deputy McLeod laid his eyes on Travis Decker's abandoned truck deep in the forest, he was furious. What do you think he had to say? Not just about the scene, but it was more about what it actually meant. It was a manhunt that had stretched across the county, and then it went suddenly quiet. But is it over? Is this manhunt over? What are police searching for? Today we're digging into that emotional moment at the truck scene, and then we're going to explore something a little bit more shocking. What one specialist believes regarding Travis Decker, and is he still alive? But just the next move. Is Decker still alive? And that isn't the end. Is his next move a carefully planned escape? What do you think? Where do you think Travis Decker is? Let's dig in. According to USA Today, Deputy McLeod is still angry that Decker has not been found. I mean, who isn't, right? That's not shocking here. But let's also see what was said. What does McLeod think about Decker? McLeod states that he is still angry that Decker has not been found. He received a single email on June 2nd, and that email led McLeod to the white 2017 GMC Sierra pickup truck. At that point, this was still a missing persons case, meaning the girls were still missing. He found the pickup truck along Icicle Road at the Rock Island campground while searching through thick wooded area on a dirt bike. Once I read the email, and we'll see what that email says, I knew right where they would be, meaning the girls and Decker, McLeod said. But things went south fast. After McLeod alerted dispatch to the vehicle, Sergeant Brian Lewis arrived and found Decker's 3 girls dead at the scene. They were about 50 yards from the truck. And this is the area along that Icicle Creek. Decker was nowhere to be found. There was nothing we could do for them. I was angry. Where is he? Where is Travis Decker? After 4 weeks of searching for the girls' killer, law enforcement officials at local and state federal levels continue to hunt for Decker, who is a U.S. Army member wanted on kidnapping and murder charges in the brutal killings of Olivia, Evelyn, and Peyton. And those are his 3 daughters. At the time they died, the sisters lived with their mother, and Decker had custody rights of the children. USA Today spoke to McLeod about what led him to find the girls' bodies, as well as the latest in the search for their father, who is wanted on charges of first-degree murder, first-degree kidnapping, and custodial interference. Now, I will say there was another article that I did read as well, that the blood that was found at the campsite was Decker's. There has not been any other DNA evidence at that campsite other than Decker and his 3 daughters. This proves that Decker is the only one that was there. Decker is the one that killed his 3 daughters. Let's read on. Let's talk about the camp crime scene. McLeod was on his way to work when he got the email. The missing girl's family had told law enforcement that Decker was likely headed up Icicle Road to go camping. McLeod called his office and said he had a good idea where to find the father and his 3 missing children. There is no one more familiar with Chelan County and the forest more than McLeod. This is what Sheriff Mike Morrison told USA Today. He's been our lead coordinator for the search and rescue team and is also a helicopter pilot for the agency. Wenatchee police pinged Decker's phone and tracked it to an area near Leavenworth, McLeod said, about 20 miles northwest of where the girls lived. I hopped on my dirt bike in plain clothes to blend in. He has also worked for the sheriff's office for 2 decades and spent the last 9 years as a full-time force deputy. So as you can see, here is the landscape. This is where Decker's vehicle was found, and the girls' bodies were found 50 yards from this little specific area. This is where they were reported missing, was over here in Wenatchee. They actually were not allowed to leave this specific area according to the custodial agreement. About 3 p.m. on June 2nd, McLeod spotted the truck on a dirt road and alerted dispatch. Inside it, Decker's wallet was the only thing left behind in the vehicle. The missing girls' bodies were later found about 50 yards away from the vehicle. McLeod said an investigation found they had been dead for about 2.5 days. Oddly enough, there wasn't anyone or any other campsites. No people, no vehicles. Normally, it's super busy. About 1 mile from where the girls' bodies were found, McLeod said officers found an abandoned orange tent. It looked like a homeless person tent. Floor was ripped, haphazardly put up, and not an expensive tent. However, the cooler was placed neatly next to it, squared up to the tent. McLeod said the scene led him to believe the tent was Decker's, suspicion that has not yet been confirmed by investigators. Here is a picture of that specific tent. So harsh terrain and conditions present challenges in this search for Decker. So Sheriff Morrison told USA Today that law enforcement has faced environmental challenges while hunting the fugitive. He highlighted not only rugged terrain, but harsh conditions that SWAT and U.S. Marshals teams have battled. In some areas, snow was still on the ground. We can't get into the river yet because of the spring runoff, Morrison said, but they're hoping that they can do that next month once the water does start receding. A decline in tips. Morrison said Decker was last seen alive with his children on May 30th. Our agency got involved on June 2nd when we found the scene, he said. Since then, officials have deployed cadaver dogs and a mountaineer team in the hunt. Agencies from at least 7 counties surrounding Chelan County have joined the chase. The sheriff's office, which covers 900 square miles, has covered hundreds of square miles across multiple states, including Oregon. Officials have also checked tips internationally in Canada, Morrison said. In addition to environmental challenges, Morrison said a recent decline in tips has hindered finding Decker. Initially, some were hot. We had some break-ins and some items missing from campsites, he said. Nothing came of them, but we're still following any leads that do come in. None confirmed a find. Tips have slowed, but the U.S. Marshals are still on the ground with us, Morrison said. Oregon units have come in to help and check caves and mine shafts. The more frustrating part is that we're not getting what we're looking for, Morrison said. A lot of our leads are starting to dry up. Clearly, it's looking more like the probability he's deceased. Morrison said, does he have the potential of surviving out there? Yes, but with the amount of people out there with no signs whatsoever, it's not likely. It's possible, but for now, we're presuming he is still alive. But you have to be responsible with your financial resources, which means you have to ask whether you're tracking active leads, the sheriff said. Typically, people who disappear want to live in more populated areas where they have access to supplies. How did Peyton and Olivia and Evelyn Decker pass away. They were found with plastic bags over their heads. They died from suffocation, and their hands were zip tied together. The motive in the killings still remains a mystery. What does Travis Decker look like? Here is one picture of him right here. He is 5'8", 190 pounds. He was last seen wearing a light colored shirt and dark shorts. He may pose a significant risk if he is approached. Anybody with any information, please call 911. Now, let's talk about why one person thinks that Decker is still alive. According to people.com, there is one expert that still believes Decker is alive. While some believe the Army veteran who accused of suffocating the girls, speaking to ABC News, law enforcement and security analysis, and a former Massachusetts state trooper, Todd McGee, provided compelling evidence for why they believe Decker is still on the run. He explained that his reasoning centers around the fact that the dogs involved in the search for him have not picked up any type of scent, any type of dead body scent, or any type of presence of a deceased body. Canines are trained to look for cadavers and sniff for those type of odors, so he still may be on the move. The expert continued, noting that an international manhunt might be required and that the case is complicated by Decker's experience as a soldier. There is some evidence pointing to him having fled the United States. He allegedly performed searches online about relocating to Canada days before picking up his girls. If you're curious about that, I will link that video at the end of this video. McGee has hypothesized that Decker is using his time on the run to process everything as far as turning himself in and standing trial. However, he won't be able to stay out of sight indefinitely. He'll eventually have to surface through seeking shelter, seeking food, nutrition. Those types of things will require him to come out of hiding and, to some degree, expose himself to the general public. Based on his knowledge, McGee added, "I'm confident that something should reveal itself as far as a resolution as to where his existence is, and hopefully a capture and an arrest." Now, since then, Whitney Decker has said that she wants him found dead or alive. That is a huge thing that she wants, Whitney's attorney said. It's very important to her so that she can have peace. Please make sure that you continue to pray for this family. Here are the picture of the 3 girls. This family is mourning the loss of the girls. They also want answers as to why Travis Decker did do this. And if he didn't do it, why this did happen. Now, I know some of you are very skeptical. Some people think he didn't do it. Somebody else did it. And I initially was curious as well, except for now there is not any other DNA at the campsite other than Decker's. So it's showing that it really possibly is that Decker is the one that did do this. Did he have a mental breakdown? What is it? What specifically happened? Let me know what you think in the comments. Is he dead or is he alive? And what do you think? Did he do it or did he not? Comment below. We'll check back in soon.